to the Wave of the World podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Jacob Bodega. I am glad you are here with me on this fine Thursday. But if you just so happen to join Patreon, you can tune in with me because I'm actually shooting on Tuesday. They're getting to watch this live and in person. Sometimes I'll jump on a few minutes before I start the podcast, answer any questions, chop it up with them. And I'm always looking for new guests to feature on the podcast. Last episode I had Jim West, formerly known as Jim Wrench, but that's neither here nor there. That was a really great episode. We talked about Jim's introduction to working at Disney and all the things that came with that. We also talked about some up-and-coming artists that we are excited to see grow in the near future. Definitely check that episode out. It is the end of Black History Month. This past week, the nation had the coldest streak nationwide that I think we've ever seen in our lifetime, to where like both coasts were seeing rain, sleet, snow, hail, or a combination of all four. If you don't believe in global warming, that's fine, but if you don't believe it and you're still out here driving 60 miles an hour while it's snowing, all I can do is pray for you, because the amount of accidents, the amount of foolishness that I've seen in these country road streets, I can't. It's literally so annoying to live in a place that they don't prepare for snow and they don't know how to prepare for snow. And if you've never dealt with snow before, salt the roads, shovel your driveways, lift up your windshield wipers. Don't shovel snow into the street where you see a path has been made by other cars. Those are just, some common, might not get thought about every now and then, but I like to sprinkle it out there. If you live in a place where they are not accustomed to getting multiple inches of snow, you have my sympathy for you, because it is annoying. The only good thing that came out of it was when I got to go to the grocery store, nobody was in there. And I went to Target. Target is full of people that are there for no reason whatsoever than to just be at Target. And no grocery list, no plan in mind. They're on just vibes. I don't get it, but went in with a list. There was probably like 10 people there. There was only 2 people working, and those 2 people were fantastic. I don't remember their names because they weren't wearing name tags, but I gave both of them $10 tips just because I understand. Like they probably didn't want to go into work, but I hope that their day went by better. Maybe next time I'll get to learn their name. But speaking about a name, this is one you already know. If you haven't watched it already, the Britney Spears documentary on Hulu about her conservatorship, that her dad is the conservator of her. Very, very interesting. What a conservatorship is basically when someone holds power or has a lot of wealth or money, and they are deemed by a court not fit to handle all of that on their own. Someone can step in and basically be responsible for their money and manage them as a person, as if it was a business. Britney Spears wrote, each person has their own story and their take on other people's stories. We all have so many different bright and beautiful lives. Remember, no matter what we think we know about a person's life, it is nothing compared to the actual person living behind the lens. I don't really get the whole conservatorship thing. I feel like it's good for adolescent children, maybe by like an outside source, to be in relation or in agreement with the parents, which both of Britney's parents are still alive. One of them is her conservator. But in the documentary, like she said, we don't really know what happens in their shoes. But from an outsider's perspective, why is her father her conservator? Shouldn't he just be her father? 2, her mother was brought up in the documentary and was a part of her career in her early life. And when she couldn't be there, she sent one of her closest friends that did a pretty good job with Britney, I'd say, all the way up until she was deemed crazy when she shaved her head, which I also don't really get. Women do whatever they want with their hair. I don't know why it's a men's place to judge a woman based off of the decision she makes her about her appearance, but that's neither here nor there. It's a crazy documentary. I suggest you go watch it. I'm trying not to say too much and I don't want to spoil it. The battle for Britney to get out of her conservatorship is still going. The documentary ended, I think the timeline ended in like August or September of 2020, so still going on, still pretty relevant. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I like the quote that she used, every person has their own story. And if you haven't started to learn about other people's stories, I think this past year has taught us all to pivot and learn something different. Go inquire about 5 to 10 people's stories today. Storytelling is an art. Not obviously all of us are not good at it, but I feel like you need to have some element of storytelling in your repertoire because that's how we relate to other people. You may meet a man that's walking on the street and notice that he'll have like a class ring on his finger, and because of the color of it, you're like, hey, I like that ring. And you might make a friend, who knows? And then y'all can just talk about what high schools or colleges you went together. But speaking about another person who has a story, this is a big jump. From Britney Spears to Bobby Shmurda. He is being released from prison on Tuesday. He has been jailed since 2014, and that's next Tuesday, not the Tuesday that I'm recording. He was arrested on several charges of murder and kidnapping. I don't want to get into the debate on whether he did it or not, but he was looking at 7 years in prison and 5 years on probation. Now he'll be out on parole until 2026, and it's just good news to see somebody out. And now, hear me out. Now, if he was claimed to do the things that he was arrested for doing, then send him back. I'm fine with that. But every now and then, we need a little good news in our life. I think I've talked about that on a previous episode. I get that bad news catches our attention and we want to know more about the bad news because it makes us feel better about ourselves a lot of the time. But good news can also inspire you to do something positive. And that's kind of what I want to, that's what the podcast is about. All I do is talk about spreading positivity, love, happiness, and encouragement to anybody that listens. Something else that I wanted to jump into. So Jay-Z has a champagne brand called Armand de Brignac. I'm probably butchering it. It's French, but it is LVMH bought 50% stake in Jay-Z's company. Now, if you don't know what LVMH is, it stands for Louis Vuitton, Moet, and Hennessy. And they have stakes in Hermes,
wow,
in Louis Vuitton, obviously, Dior,
wow,
Givenchy, Marc Jacobs,
wow,
Kenzo, Christian Dior,
wow,
the perfume and the clothing and the watches and the jewelry, Belvedere vodka, obviously Hennessy, Veuve Clicquot, Dom Perignon, like the list goes on. So for a company like that to invest in Jay-Z's brand, oh, fantastic. I love the fact that Jay-Z is still who he is, and he's never really shy about it, but he's still a successful, wealthy businessman, and praise goes to you, young king. And basically, Armand de Brignac, whatever. Y'all can read it. I'll put it in for you. It's the gold bottles of that Ace of Spades. And price between $300 and $950. Now that's a lot for some. That's a lot for some liquid. But if you got it, why not? I don't know. I can't tell you how to spend your money. But what I can tell you to do is shop with me. I'm working on my website right now. The link is in my bio on my Instagram, on my personal Instagram, Jacob Bodega. You can also go to Wave of the World podcast on Instagram, and you can find the link on my bio that way. But I'm still selling my my winter shirts. I have the Mind Your Business shirt, the Respect Your Mother shirt, the Positive Mental Health shirt, and shirts for the podcast, the Wave of the World podcast. Those 4 are still on sale. I'm actually doing 10% off right now, so if you want to hop on that while supplies last, I appreciate it. Let me know what you think when you get the shirt and tag me in it. Show me how you style it. I'm curious to see how other people would style my designs and my ideas that I've come up with. So, yeah. What else do we got on le docket? Weird, bad, and then we're going to close out the show. Just because these are the topics. The show is called Wave of the World because everything's going on in the world. Everything goes on in the world every day. I feel like something that could happen in Brazil could affect somebody that's in Seattle, Washington, or something happening in Gabon in Africa could affect somebody in Beijing. You never know. I feel like waves are created from humans, and you can see it at a football game or a baseball game, whatever. If one row starts doing the wave, or it gets a couple people around them to start doing the wave, other people will see the wave going on and they'll start to participate in it. Regardless of why or how it's happening, they'll take note and try to continue along with it. And I feel like news and these conversations, whether the news be good or bad, affects everyone a little bit mentally, because when you hear something or read something, you have an instant reaction, whether you say something or you think something. And I try to like dig deeper into those feelings and give y'all an insight on what I'm thinking whenever I read these headlines, because I search the topics that I read before the podcast is recording. I don't really necessarily read into depth, so y'all get my raw reaction. But other than that, we're going to jump into this. It's kind of funny in my eyes. Y'all may not laugh. So a wanted man turns himself in because he couldn't stand the people he was living with in quarantine. This man was in the UK. His identity is disclosed. I'm not going to put him out there. But he turned himself in because he wanted some peace and quiet. I feel you. I'm not wanted. I'm not a wanted man. But I understand. There are some people that you can only take in certain doses. And if you're in a house with them for an extended period of time and you can't go anywhere, jail might be the best place for you. I'm sorry. He shared with the police that he would rather go back to prison than have to spend more time with the people he was living with. Once in custody, heading back to prison to serve some further time on his own. So not only was he going for his sentence time, he was like, nah, throw 2 more on that thing for me. I need peace and quiet. He capitalized that P. Peace and quiet. Woo. He looked at that officer like, help me. Please. You know how the saying, I say it all the time, blink twice if you're okay. I feel like he did this. If you're only listening on audio, you won't see it. But go to YouTube. You'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so the next one, like I said, bad news catches the attention, so here I'll go. Florida man, the story's interesting already. Arrested after burglarizing homes while families attended funerals. Not gonna say his name either. You a POC. You're not a person of color. You're a piece of crap. He's gonna remain anonymous too, but he was robbing at least 10 families who attended funerals between October 1st and February 8th, and got somewhere between $20,000 and $100,000. This man was not only robbing the grave, but he was robbing, what is that, like grave adjacent? I'm not 100% sure. Glad he got arrested, because people who pray and attack people in some of their weakest moments, I have literally no sympathy for. It was like a conscious decision, because it was from October to February. Now, I know y'all have heard me on the podcast before. I don't necessarily think that any one person is inherently good or inherently bad, but we do have decisions that we make like this, conscious decisions, whether it be one time or multiple times, that we have on a day-to-day basis, and we get to choose whether to act on them or not. And this man acted on it plenty of times, at least 10 times. Trash individuals like that deserve to be clean, locked up. Now, last story of the day. Jeff Bezos, y'all know who he is, overtook Elon as the richest person in the world again. Elon only had 6 weeks. He had a cool month. It wasn't even Black History Month, because, you know, that's the shortest one. He had a cool 6 weeks where he reigned at the top. Tesla lost about $5 billion. Shares fell about 2%. And y'all know how I feel about Tesla and their stock. So I'm right there with you if you're losing money. But all stocks trend, and you'll see it go up sooner rather than later. Bezos is now worth $191 billion with a B. Wow. And the gap between Bezos and Musk is $1 billion. Wow. The gap between Musk and Bill Gates is $190 billion to $137 billion. Wow. That gap could make somebody else, it could make a couple people billionaires. But it's neither here nor there. I always champion people who can lead the way of their industry. And obviously, if you're good at it, you're going to get paid for it. I don't really hold any grudges or anything to people that accumulate large amounts of wealth. I think me and Jim, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. Sometimes our conversations that we have in person kind of mix with the one that we had on the podcast. But he asked a question to me the other day and was like, how much money is too much money? I feel like as long as you're doing something progressive or positive with it. Now, obviously, that's not always going to be the case. Hence why houses go for $25 million or something ridiculous like that. Like, nobody needs a 25-bedroom house. Let's just be honest. Nobody wants to be around their family that much. I know family is everything. I love my family. I hope my family loves me. But nobody wants to constantly, like, you might go crazy. Hence why the wanted man turned himself in. But neither here nor there. Happy for Jeff. The man literally got divorced, gave his wife money, who, I'm going to look this up, Mackenzie Scott. She is a novelist and a philanthropist, and she donated a lot of money to a school, $1.7 billion to HBCUs. Billion with a B. Crazy. Miss Scott, the philanthropist, also donated money to organizations that support women's rights, LGBTQ+, and climate change and racial inequities. And that's fantastic. The school that she gave it to was not listed on the New York Times, but it's just beautiful. I feel like women are, this is me personally, me Jacob, personally. I feel that women are the future in terms of making this world a better place. And I'm not just saying that as like a nice gesture or anything. I truly believe that because they tap into their emotional side more than men. Most of the time, they're more creative than most men, and they have the ability to be business minded, but also be creative at the same time. And shouts out to Miss Scott. She actually came up with the concept of Amazon, which is that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's business, but it's also progressive. And I'm telling you, women are already taking over the population of the world. Shouts out to women, but as a man, sometimes I'm scared. With a T, capital T. So now, I want to jump into this next part of the show. This is a new segment that I'm been working on. Haven't really come up with a name for it yet. I'm kind of thinking like music moment maybe, but I wanted to take a chance to shout out a new project or a new record that has just been released by an artist, and this one is going to be about Sir Lucky Day. If you haven't heard Lucky Day before, maybe now's your chance. I've heard of him before this, and I've played a couple of his records. Didn't really, I liked a couple of them, obviously, or else I wouldn't be talking about it. But this EP, it's only 7 songs, cool 20 minutes. Listen to it while you're in the shower, in the morning, when you're stretching, doing yoga. I don't know what y'all do. Y'all let me know. Maybe on a run, maybe before, on your way to work, whatever you're doing. The album is called Table for Two. And my favorite song on that album is On Red. Just because I really like how the composition of the song is. I'm always a sucker for if any artists use trumpets, saxophone, or any combination of any type of horn in the song. Also the musicality and the lyrics and the whole message of just being on red. It was just put together beautifully. So that's the album, Table for Two by Lucky Day. I'm not going to ruin it for y'all, but it was a good little project. Like I said, it's only 20 minutes. Go check it out. And now to y'all's favorite part of the show, the Mount Rushmore. Don't think I've done this before, but we are doing a Mount Rushmore of ice cream flavors. Now, I said it there, now I'm going to put the parameters. It can be a brand, it can be a flavor, it can be a flavor and a brand. I don't really care. But with that being said, I'm going to jump mine off. I know what order they're in, so just give me a second. I've been thinking about this all week. Number 1, not going anywhere. Talenti, the Caramel Crunch. Hands down, best ice cream ever invented. I don't care what you say. These are my taste buds. I speak for me and mines. And mine say Caramel Crunch by Talenti. And Talenti made my list twice. And they're not even ice cream, they're gelato, so you know it be hitting different. And I enjoy the fact that Talenti puts all companies are required to do this by the FDA, but it's the only company that I actually notice the serving size for it, so I actually eat less of the ice cream, as opposed to if you just had like a giant tub of ice cream, like the Neapolitan. I'm how I am with Neapolitan ice cream, I feel like are the people who don't like their food to touch. I don't get it, but your ice cream shouldn't touch like that. At least if it touches, just swirl it. I don't need them separate. Who does that? You're just inviting little kids with snot like, can I have him? You're just inviting them in to get a piece of your ice cream. No, don't nobody want that. Anyways, neither here nor there. Number 2, Talenti number 2. Talenti's so good it made my list twice. Number 2 is Mediterranean vanilla bean. I said what I said. Vanilla bean tastes different than vanilla just regular, like without the bean. 86 the bean. I don't know. There's something different about the vanilla bean than actual like vanilla extract. I think it gives it a more rich taste. And yeah, those Talenti, I don't know what you did, but you got my heart. Here, just take it. Trade this out for 5 gallons of caramel crunch and another 5 gallons of Mediterranean vanilla bean. Number 3 is going to be Dippin' Dots, the Oreo flavor, or the I guess cookies and milk is what you would call it. Solely for nostalgic purposes. I just remember going to the water park during the summer. There was like 4 to 5 Dippin' Dot stands, and I always made sure that I had money in my locker for some Dippin' Dots on a hot day. I would check the temperature. I would check to see who's. It was like an event when we went to the water park. I would check to see who was going. I would check the temperature. I would get my fit together. Fit depends on who's there and the temperature, this process. And I would always make sure that there was money in my locker for some Oreo Dippin' Dots. And rounding out the list at number 4, I know a lot of people hate oatmeal cookies, but I don't care. They make it for somebody, and that somebody is me. The Halo Top oatmeal cookie. It almost makes you feel like you're not eating ice cream. It just tastes like a frozen oatmeal cookie, which, whew, oatmeal raisin cookies are undefeated. I stand by everything that I say. Left hand, right hand to God, whichever one it is. Their brand, first of all, is vegan and dairy free, so for the healthy people out there that don't even necessarily want to eat ice cream. And the fact that it tastes exactly like an oatmeal cookie, and it's not too sweet, so you don't feel too bad for eating it, but you can still indulge in the ice creameries, if you will. That's my list. Talenti, caramel crunch, and Mediterranean vanilla bean. Dippin' Dots of Oreo flavor or cookies and milk, whatever you call it. And then number 4, rounding out the list, the Halo Top oatmeal cookie. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Wave of the World podcast. If you have any suggestions, comments, queries, or if you want to be on the show, DM me on Instagram, email me, waveoftheworld19@gmail.com, or, I don't know, Facebook, whatever you want to do. I see everything. Everything comes directly to me. I edit the videos, I edit the audio, I sell the merch, I do all of the things. If you want to be on the show, I'd be happy to have you. Other than that, I will see y'all on the 4th. March the 4th, that is. Love you. Peace out. Go spread some positivity. Bye.